Here's something wild. When you're a doctor, learn about the human body in medical school, learned about one version, the male version. And here's something they still do. This isn't ancient history. This is your doctor's education. I'm Whisper Breitenborn, and today we're looking at why medicine still treats the male body as the default and what that means for 47 million women living with chronic pain to study on. And they chose mostly male bodies. Why? Simple logic. Most cadavers came from prisons or state institutions. Most prisoners were males. So the textbook got written based on what they had: male skeletons, male muscle attachments, male organ placements. And here's where it gets interesting. Those textbooks, those same ones they read today, is still being used. The anatomical standard your doctor learned is still based on the 1950s model. When women's bodies come up, they were taught as variants from the male standards, not different variant, like a special edition, an exception to the rule. Think about that for just a second. Your doctor learned that your body is a variation of the normal one, and the normal one doesn't have a uterus, doesn't experience pregnancy, doesn't have monthly hormone cycles that change everything about how your body functions. Now, you think medical research would balance this out, right? Wrong. Far from wrong. Until 1993, the NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health, the people who fund most medical research in America didn't require researchers to include women in their studies. 1993. For 43 years, medicine was researching, testing, and creating treatment protocols based on almost entirely on a male subject, and then just applying it to us women. Pain medicine tested on men. Dosing guidelines based on a male metabolism. Physical therapy protocols developed for male biomechanics. So when your doctor gives you a treatment plan, they're working from a model that wasn't designed for your body as a female. So here's what makes this really wild. When researchers finally started including women in studies, they found something obvious. Women's bodies process medication differently. Your hormone cycle changes how fast you metabolize drugs. It changes your pain threshold. It changes how your muscles recover from injury. But the treatment protocol is still based on the old model. Males. And nowhere is this more obvious than in orthopedics, the specialty that treats hip pain. Here's the thing about women's hips. They're structurally different from men's hips. Wider pelvic, different femur angle, different load distribution, and that's before pregnancy. During pregnancy, a hormone called relaxins loosen all of our ligaments. Your pelvic literally shifts to make room for a baby. After birth, some things go back, but not everything. Your ligaments stay looser for months, sometimes years. Your pelvic may not return to its original position. Your muscle recruitment patterns change permanently. Now, guess what's not in the standard orthopedic textbook? Any of that. Nothing. Orthopedic residents learn about hip fractures, hip replacements, sports injuries. They don't learn about pregnancy-related biomechanical changes because that's considered obstetric. Different department. And here's the problem with the department. Your body doesn't know it's supposed to separate its problems into specialties. Your hip pain might be caused by pelvic floor dysfunction, but the orthopedic isn't trained in the pelvic floor, and your OBGYN isn't trained in hip mechanics. So you end up with doctors saying everything looks normal on an x-ray. And they're right. According to the male body model of it, your hip does look normal. The problem is you don't have a male body. So let's talk about what happens when you finally get to see a specialist. You get imaging, an x-ray, maybe even an MRI. The doctor looks at it, sees no tear, sees no fracture, sees no arthritis, and says, I don't see anything wrong. Here's what they actually mean. I don't see anything the model trained me to look at. It takes a keen doctor to actually see what's going on with us females, us women, because the imaging shows structure, bones, cartilage, and ligaments. It does not show function. It does not show that your glutes aren't firing correctly, that your pelvic floor is compensating for core weakness, that your movement pattern is creating stress in places that MRI doesn't capture, and your doctor wasn't trained to assess those things. Not because they're bad at their job, but because the model they learned doesn't include it. Here's what makes this predictable. When you track women's hip pain outcomes, you see the pattern over and over. 4 to 7 years of doctors saying everything looks normal, multiple MRIs, physical therapy that doesn't work, pain medicine that barely even touches the pain in general, not because medicine doesn't care, not because the diagnosis model wasn't built for this. The male body defined medicine. And here we're all still living the consequences.